Having some issues with my diesel heater. Just wondering if the exhaust is supposed to be glowing red like that. Oh, that's flames. I'm glad it was out here when that happened, because that could have been very bad. It's wonderful. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. Can you guys believe that this is part 16 of the series where I've been trying to run waste motor oil in my heater? Kind of hard to believe. Anyway, in this video, we are actually not burning waste motor oil or even new motor oil. We are going to be testing this Lucas Deep Clean Diesel Particulate Filter Cleaner to see if it can clean out the nasty that was left behind from the last video. If you guys haven't seen that video, you should probably go check it out before watching this one. We tested to see if new motor oil would leave more or less junk behind than waste motor oil. So, once again, this video is going to be testing to see if this Lucas Deep Clean Diesel Particulate Filter Cleaner will clean up the nasty that was left behind from our last test. There will be some photo comparison at the end of this video, but we're just going to jump right into it, get into the testing, and I'll see you guys throughout the video. Normally, this is where I would pop up and give you guys a safety warning, but I believe this is a perfectly safe thing to do. So if you want to experiment with some diesel particulate filter cleaner in your diesel heater, feel free to go ahead and do so. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that I'm good at math, so I'm going to use my head and a calculator to try to figure out how much of this stuff goes into my diesel fuel. I've already figured out that I have 1.6 liters of diesel in one of these containers. I've figured that out by pouring water in, and that was the amount of water that it took. And I know that this bottle of treatment treats up to 115 liters. That's what it claims on the container. And so what I need to do is divide the amount in this bottle, which is 473 milliliters, 473, divide it by 115 liters, and that will tell me how much 1 liter takes. So to treat 1 liter, I need 4.113 milliliters. And so we have 1.6 liters, so we times 1.6, and that gives us 6.58 milliliters of this stuff that it would take to treat the diesel that I'm using. Now, this stuff says up to 115 liters. When they tell you up to and don't give you an exact amount to mix, that usually means that there's not really any harm in pouring too much in. So I have one of these little measuring cup things, and the smallest amount that I can actually measure out in it is 10 milliliters. So I am going to pour 10 milliliters in here, pour that into the diesel, give it a little bit of a mix. I've already got the heater started. We are going to speed it up to the full heat. I'm going to crank it up to the full heat. I'm going to leave it settle. We're going to look at all the temperatures and see what it's at. Then when we start pumping this stuff through, I'll continue to monitor the temperatures and see if anything changes. That could be quite interesting. I'm especially interested to see if the burn chamber temperature goes up at all. That could indicate that some of the carbon is actually being consumed or burned away, but I don't know. So let's give it a try. The next thing that... Why did you just run on like that, Joel? I don't think that it matters, but I did give it a shake just in case there's any stuff that has to be mixed in. This is going to be a tiny amount. There we go. That's 10 milliliters. Saying the words diesel particulate filter cleaner are way too much, so I'm just going to refer to this as this stuff, or the stuff from now on. The temperatures seem to be fairly stable, but I've set a timer for 5 minutes. We're going to come back in 5 minutes. check to see what the temperatures are, put the stuff into the diesel fuel, mix it up, and then it will take a few minutes for it to work all the way through the system. We will monitor it and see what the temperatures do from there. I'm very curious to see what happens. I will see you guys in 5 minutes. 5 minutes has passed, so now we're going to put this stuff in and give it a stir. It would be nice if the color of this stuff was a little bit more intense, and that way we would know when it actually got through, but hopefully we see something here, some sort of indication of a temperature change. It would be nice if it increased the temperature, but I kind of doubt it. Anyway, here we go. Can you guys see? Yes, you can. It is now about 10 minutes later. It's actually more than 10 minutes later. The temperature has stabilized and it doesn't seem to have changed much from before I put the additive in. I'm now going to leave it sit and run until it burns up all this fuel. I assume that we're not going to have any issues because it is just burning diesel. And then I will come out later this evening and probably have to add more fuel to it. We'll probably burn through, I would say, 3 of these and then take it apart and take a look inside and see what's going on. I assume that between now and then isn't going to be very eventful, so I will update you guys probably when I'm putting more fuel in it. It is currently 10:30 p.m. I've been keeping an eye on the remote and I've been seeing temperatures up over 210 quite frequently. So it doesn't seem to go up real high, but I've been seeing temperatures on the controller of about 212. I don't know what it is right now, I haven't checked it, but I just went and turned the multimeter on to check the temperature of the burn chamber, and it looks like it might be showing higher burn chamber temperatures. So we're gonna monitor it for a little while here and see what it does. That's how much fuel it's burnt. As you guys can see here, this is 370, 372 Fahrenheit, 189 Celsius, and 212. There you see we've got higher temperatures there. Burning diesel, so that is that's interesting for sure. I don't know if this actually means anything, but I was hearing some burbling from the intake or the exhaust, so I decided to take a look under here. And I see some very, very white ash. It's quite noisy in there, so I'm gonna point the camera in, but you guys won't be able to hear me, so yeah, that's that. So what I'm actually gonna do is grab some tools, pull the pipe off, and see what it looks like in there, what it looks like up in the exhaust hole. I pulled the exhaust off camera. There wasn't anything exciting that happened. A little bit of ash came out. I tapped it out on the floor there. You probably can't even see it. But yeah, nothing really exciting happened, so that's what I have to say about that. I think I'm fairly confident that this stuff does make it burn hotter. Yeah, I'm excited now to try the cetane booster to see what that does. I'm actually excited to try both of them together. I'm just sitting here thinking now that I want to start doing all these tests, but I'm just like, no, Joel, you have to finish this one first. So it is now time to add more diesel and more additive. I've already put the diesel in the container and measured out my 10 milliliters of additive. I'm going to pour this in now and continue with the test. I thought I would pop in here and share something with you guys that's a lot easier to explain like this than it is to show in video format, and will be easier to understand as well. I've noticed that the diesel particulate filter cleaner is producing a substantial amount more heat than the diesel on its own. I know this for 2 different reasons. The first being that I have removed the end cap off of the heater body several times in the past. This causes more air to be able to flow over the heater and causes the temperature of the heater to plummet. In this case, the temperature was actually sustained, so that is evidence number 1. Evidence number 2 was that I put it into alpine mode. Alpine mode cuts back on the fueling substantially, and this always causes the temperature of the heater to drop. But once again, it was able to sustain between 208 and 212 Celsius. So I am pretty confident that this stuff is actually producing more heat. I'm not sure why it's producing more heat, but it is. It is now sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. and I came out to check on the heater. It is still working perfectly fine. The temperature of the burn chamber is 192 Celsius, 378 Fahrenheit. And the body of the heater, or the heat exchanger, is between 206 and 210. It's fluctuating a little bit. The fuel tank is topped up, and I am going to leave this thing run and let it burn through this tank of fuel. It is the next morning, and I've decided that I'm going to take the heater down off the shelf, take it apart, and look inside. Then we can see if this stuff is doing anything. If it looks like it might be doing a little bit of something, then I guess we can run it for a few more hours on this stuff. But if it looks like it's doing absolutely nothing at this point, that would be a little over 3 liters that has gone through it, and well, more than that would just be not economical. It's not very economical as is. I think there is a bit of difference, but not enough. I guess what really matters is if it cleaned up the area inside where the burn is actually supposed to happen. But it definitely did not clean up the stuff outside. It cleaned some of the stuff off of the walls. I think that's what we saw sitting on the shelf. I don't know if I showed you guys that last night, but there was some of that white stuff sitting on the shelf. You can see there's still some crusty stuff in the bottom of the heat exchanger there. I didn't clean that up, and it is still sitting there, so it wasn't that bad before, but it definitely isn't great. Yeah, I'm gonna say that this didn't do a whole lot, but we'll take pictures and compare them. We have now run 3 liters of diesel with the additive through this thing, and as you guys can see, it didn't work any miracles. I think what it did do is take some of the black stuff out. So I'm gonna prod at this a little bit now. I don't think it would have been terribly hard to clean up last night after just the new motor oil was run through it, but it is quite chalky and very easy to clean now. The stuff inside of the chamber, yeah, just a little bit of tapping and it basically falls away. Oh yeah, even the stuff in the bottom fell out just from bumping it around. All this stuff here. This part of the chamber is cleaning out exceptionally easily. Don't know if that's how you're supposed to say that in the English language, but I'm struggling here, folks. What I'm going to do now is get this all cleaned up and put it back together, and then once I get it back together, I'll decide what test I want to do next, but I think that we'll probably be burning the new motor oil mix with some of the cetane booster in it. So, what do you guys think about the Lucas Deep Clean Diesel Particulate Filter Cleaner test? Did I do something wrong? What would you have done differently? In my opinion, this is not a practical solution because you would have to burn way too much diesel while running this stuff. In the future, I will be testing this in with the waste oil mix to see if it makes any difference there, and I will also be adding it in with the Redline cetane booster. Speaking of which, the Redline cetane booster will be the topic of our next video. So if you guys don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe. If you liked what you saw in this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you've got ideas, suggestions, or safety warnings, or just want to call me an idiot, feel free to do so in the comments below. I always enjoy chatting with you guys. That is going to do it with this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. A bonus clip for those of you who stuck around all the way to the end of the video. This is my custom slash modified burn chamber. So this part of it is the original burn chamber, but I made a different tube. And inside of it, you guys will see some melted fiberglass. I am just taking this apart and seeing it for the first time. And it is quite amusing. So I put fiberglass inside there and lined the tube with fiberglass, and it has completely melted and turned into glass, because that's what fiberglass is. Anyway, I'm going to pull this apart, take a look inside, and you guys will see that in an upcoming video.